Deuteronomy chapters 1 through 34. In the wilderness, fear receding, Moses called them all, proceeding. East of Jordan, in the wide valley, truth was waiting there to glow. Hushed was Israel, quiet leading, hearts conjoined in awe exceeding. Moses gently whispered laws of wonder, urging watchers now to know. Stories forged in desert sorrow, etched so none may ever dare to show. Ere they marched beyond the mountain, hope would rise in a stirring crow. Spreading news of paths worth treading, faith would kindle souls, unheading. Doubts that thrived in silent corners, soon confronted by the Lord. Guided, tested, gently shedding old mistrust while onward threading. God had sworn them triumph certain, though their burdens felt so stored. Bright the promise in the desert, singing mercy's sure accord. From Seir's edge to Moab's border, wonder blossomed, truth outpoured. Wavering hearts yet still unyielding, Moses' voice rose firm, appealing. See the battles won before you, trust the one whose fire leads. Worn by wandering, near to kneeling, trembling throngs found strength and healing. Once they tasted bread of heaven, once they cast off lesser creeds. Warriors fell to Israel's courage, kings were scattered with their deeds. Now the eastward land lay taken, so the future softly pleads. Caleb stood with hope unfading, in his eyes no fear invading. When the giant's walls looked daunting, when the others shrank in fright, hearts of faith refused degrading, clung to promise unabating. March, said Moses, he shall guide you, turn your worries into light. Yet distrust arose and murmured, shadowing the skies once bright, till the sentence fell on wanderers, hearts entombed in desert night. Still, through nights of sorrow raging, God upheld them, ever gauging how their hearts might turn in longing for the land they dared to seek. Cliffs of Seir their footsteps staging, 40 years of caution waging, till that faithless generation vanished, bitter, frail, and weak. Then the children rose like morning, listening as Moses would speak, clinging fast to righteous statutes, vows upon their lips unique. From the slopes of ancient mountains, living streams poured forth in fountains, blessing travelers through the dryness, forging hope where hope had waned. Testing hearts in harsh surroundings, God broke pride with fierce accountings. So they'd learn the Lord sustains them, even when the soul is drained. Sihon fell to sharpened purpose, Og by heaven's sword was slain. Thus they claimed the eastern strongholds, hearts by victory restrained. Moses paused, his old heart heaving, on the verge of final leaving, called the tribes to heed the law words, carved on tablets wrought in stone. Keep them close, he urged, believing let no idols prove deceiving, for the God of fire is jealous, none but him shall you enthrone. Warning thundered through the valley, dread of wrath no soul could clone, yet the promise shone in blessing, they were his and his alone. Horeb's thunder still was humming, from the gloom the voice was coming, chiseled law to shape a nation, sealed in covenant so grand. Spurn the shapes of beasts or cunning stars, said Moses, wisdom summing. Do not worship sun or moonlight, nor the works of mortal hand. Hearts must yield to holy reverence, hearts must hold to God's command, lest the land be torn asunder, faith's foundation turn to sand. Hear, O Israel, Moses chanted, never break the vow implanted by the one who drew you upward from the shackles laid in fear. Teach your children, hearts undaunted, speak these truths when joy is granted, bind them on your gates and doorposts, keep them burning bright and clear. When you reap the crops of promise, do not claim your might brought cheer, but recall the blazing wonders, it was God who led you here. 7 nations, tall, resounding, soon would quake at Israel's bounding, for the Lord of hosts was present, waging war on Canaan's pride. Smash their altars, break their idols, Moses told them, faith impounding. Never bow to lesser spirits, cast false worship all aside. Keep your eyes upon the covenant, let no snare your soul misguide. Then the fruit of fields shall flourish, safe within God's arms you'll bide. Manna taught them not to falter, trusting God's care at the altar. For not bread alone sustains us, but each word the Lord has said. From the slopes to valleys altering, blessings soared as foes would falter. Once the hearts obeyed his statutes, once they followed where he led. Yet if pride should fill the chosen, curses like a storm would spread, shriveling the vines of favor, weaving gloom where hope should tread. Anak's looming might was frightening, walled-up cities soared, height tightening. Still the Lord would blow them open, leading children through the fray. Not by virtue were they lightning, not by pureness were they brightening. But the wicked faced his justice, doomed to yield their land away. Moses urged them, humble spirits, stiff-necked hearts shall yet betray. Lest the forging storms consume you, guard the path by God's display. At the mount, the tablets breaking, golden calf, a vial forsaking, seared the memory of rebellion, stoked the fury of the Lord. 40 nights again, heartbreaking, Moses prayed their sin erasing, begged for mercy on a nation stiff of neck and ill-adored. Then forgiveness sealed the promise, fresh carved law was God's accord, and the ark received these tablets, holy words to be restored. Circumcise the heart, forsaking cruelty, the orphan taking, as your own, the widow cherishing, so Moses pressed them all. Foreigners in Egypt's making, you were once the ones left quaking, so be kind to strangers' footsteps, stand for justice if they call. Raise no bribe against the helpless, from the fatherless don't stall. For the Lord defends the lowly, he is might beyond the wall. Blessings rest on hearts adhering, curses rise for those careering down the path of false devotion, blind to holiness and right. Over fields the dew appearing, signals bounty God's endearing, if his words remain your treasure, if you serve with all your might. But the heavens turn to bronze, and every dawn grows bleak in blight. If you chase the gods of mortals, banishing the one true light, build no altars where you're yearning, in each random grove so burning, but approach where God has chosen, bring your tithes to holy ground. Guard the sacred flames bright turning, keep the Sabbath with discerning, honor father, mother, neighbor, let no wicked cause be found. Then your days shall bloom in promise, with the Lord's protection crowned, but transgression reaps the sword blade, curses in your midst abound. In that land the Lord's establishing, they must purge all vile embellishing, stone the voice that leads to idols, whether friend or child so dear. Harsh the cry, but thus unleashing purity, so none go ravishing after foreign gods of darkness, after worship false and drear. Witness must be proven certain, only truth can conquer fear, else the plague of false religion grows, corrupting far and near. Clean and unclean parted clearly, beasts to spare or shun sincerely. From the pig's carcass to ravens, from the fish without a scale, Israel stands as witness merely. Holy ways shine bright severely, not as bondage but as mercy, so the faithful need not fail. Tithes support the Levite's portion, gleaners gather in the vale, while the poor are duly tended, love must flourish, wide and hail. Every 7th year forgiving, cancel debts to keep love living. Open wide your hands in kindness, never tight with grudging hearts. Slaves at freedom's door are giving songs of gratitude so riveting. If they will not choose to linger, if no longing soul imparts, consecrate the firstborn cattle, share them where the worship starts. Thus the land and hearts stay humble, safe in what the Lord imparts. Come the Passover unchained, bread unleavened must be trained, as the memory of deliverance from the nighttime flight of old. Sacrifice in chosen places, keep the vigil God ordained, then rejoice at week's conclusion, praising wonders manifold. Gather harvest, glean the blessings, as the fruit to barns is rolled. Thus the holy festivals anchor hearts in truth untold. Judges set in every city, bribes must flee so none show pity to the twisted cause of evil that would turn a righteous mind. Toppled idols, altars gritty, Asherah poles cast down not pretty, for the jealous God abhors them, for such paths have made men blind. Blood for blood must stand on witness, 2 or 3 the truth to find, so the land remains in justice, so no tyrant keeps it spined. When they cry to have a king, crowns must never make them cling to the proud illusions gleaned by armies, gold, or many wives. He must keep the law's sure ring, reading daily, pondering all the precepts God commanded, all the ways by which he thrives. Levites live from holy offerings, glean no farmland for their lives. For the Lord is their inheritance, He's the wind in which faith dives. Sorcery and vile divining, child sacrifice, ways declining. All are banished from the borders. Let no psychic voice hold sway. From among you see one shining, like to Moses yet refining. Words of heaven for the people, listen close to what he'll say. False proclaimers shall be silenced. Truth alone must have the day, lest your hearts be led to ruin, lured by wonders made of clay. Cities set as safe protection for the one with no intention. To have slain a soul in malice, mercy grants them space to run. But a murderer finds rejection, none can buy their sure correction. Since the land must purge the bloodshed, scornful sin must be undone. No false boundaries must be shifted, no vile bribes through cunning spun. For the Lord weighs all transgressions, he sees everything beneath the sun. Facing armies vast, unholy, do not tremble, he is solely God of might, who once saved Egypt's slaves with wonders fierce and bright. Priests shall speak before the volley, telling hearts to stand up holy, offering peace first to the distant, but destroying sin on sight. Trees that bear you fruit for living, spare them in the battle's plight, so the land can yield a future, so no orchard bleeds despite. Unsolved murder calls for kneeling, elders gather, oh so reeling, breaking neck of heifer near the valley's stream to purge the blood. Captive wives must mourn their families, shaved in sorrow, truths revealing, loved or freed at rightful choosing, no degrade is understood. Firstborn claims his rightful portion, though unloved, his share stands good, while rebellious sons face stoning if no discipline withstood. When you see your neighbor's donkey falter on the road so wonky, do not pass and leave it burdened. Help the beast regain its stance. Mixed up seeds and cloth so clunky, modest rails on roofs so spunky. Laws shape daily life in worship, forging hearts in God's expanse. Purity in marital pledges, stoning vile rebellious trance. Guard the camp from rank defilement, keep the covenant's advance. Eunuchs, foes must stand excluded. Moab, Ammon thus concluded, but the third generation from an Edomite may stand. Clean the camp, no waste polluted. Bury filth, no sin protruded. For the Lord's among your armies, he is walking through the land. Charge no interest to your brethren. Vow in honest words so grand. Share the gleanings of your neighbor, but no sickle shall you brand. Divorce laws and fresh wed duties, kidnappings foul imputes he. Must be put to death for trading souls as goods beneath the sun. Timely wages, gleanings fruity, help the widow stand in beauty. Let the orphan glean the branches, let the foreigner be won. 40 lashes hold the limit, no disgrace to push undone. Keep a brother's name through laveers, so his memory be not gone. First fruits in a basket brimming, set them down with praises skimming. Over how the Lord delivered, how the land was gained by grace. Swear your soul to God, not dimming. Walk his roads with hearts so trimming. He will set you high in honor, shining bright before his face. Stones on Ebal, plaster written, curses, blessings find their place. All must cry, Amen, in chorus, through the covenant's embrace. Blessed in city, blessed in meadow, if you follow God's bright credo. Cursed if you rebel and wander, chasing idols vile and strange. Enemies shall break like Play-Doh, or they'll crush you, as his say-so. Crowns your faithful or destroys you, he alone can rearrange. Heaven's windows open bounty, or they slam in famine's range. Choose the narrow road of promise, shun the wide, destructive grange. Should you choose the path of lying, soon your barns stand empty, dying. Barren fields produce no vintage, locusts devouring every leaf. Cities walled to skies so towering crumble under judgment's sighing. Mothers starve in monstrous famine, love grows cold in darkest grief. But if mercy stirs repentance from this sorrow black and brief, God will gather you from exile, healing curses born of strife. Secret things belong to power high, but known words call us to comply. Follow well the holy precepts, near you rests the truth divine. When your hearts in distant lands do cry, he will hear your humble sigh, bringing back the exiled children, letting grace and peace entwine. Life or death is placed before you. Blessings bloom or curses vine. Choose the Lord, prolong your journey, dwell within his grand design. Aged Moses, wise yet grieving, knew his final day was weaving. Close at hand, so Joshua stood, chosen one to cross the flood. Be of courage, never leaving God's command, his presence cleaving. To your soul in every battle, he will make the desert bud. All the words of law were written, locked beside the ark of blood, testifying to their future, should rebellion stir the mud. In a song of thunder rolling, Moses prophesied, controlling, how the chosen folk would wander, how their hearts might soon rebel, rock unbreaking, storms consoling, yet the people's pride patrolling, would betray the gracious giver, tasting foreign gods that fell. Still, the Lord in vengeance certain stands, but yearns to break the spell. Mercy waits to mend their ruin, if in sorrow they would dwell. Climbing Nebo's slopes, beholding, Moses saw the land unfolding, fertile plains and shining rivers, gift to tribes he'd shaped with care. Yet his step would not be molding footprints in that realm's upholding. For the Lord declared his exit, he must rest beyond its air. Then he blessed each tribe with wisdom, placed them in Jehovah's care, breathed his last upon the mountain, vanished from the people's stare. God himself arranged the burial, no marked stone or shrine imperial. Moses gone at 120, vigor still within his frame. Israel wept in days ethereal, morning shepherd bright, genial, who had led them out of bondage, who had borne reproach and blame. Never rose a prophet equal, face to face with God aflame. Thus concludes the desert saga sealed in verses of God's name.